Happy Wine Wednesday, everyone. Still haven't gotten the wine glass, but it is what it is, right? I am personally sipping on buttery Chardonnay. Okay, and they're not a sponsor or anything. I just wanted to point it out because if you like wine that's like smooth and goes well with fish, this Chardonnay is the bomb. Buttery, right? It kind of adds like this. It doesn't taste buttery, but it just adds something when you drink it with like buttery salmon or whatever. It's very good. I really like it. And I did not get a notification that we were actually live. So if someone in the comment section,
I think I
okay,
did.
good.
Yep, it says live
All right,
now.
great. Okay, so but if there's anything wrong with audio or anything, you guys, of course, let me know. I am still on vacation, but it's frankly been busier than ever. Kids, life, etc. But I have been working on some things like the website, and I did want to mention something that if you're a member of the channel, or if you're in our group, and like for today we're so late. I actually wasn't that late. I was late, I admit it, but we get into conversations before we even go live because we're in this restream app thing. And so if you're a member or part of the group and you want to jump in but you don't want to be on the video when you're live, I just wanted to mention that all you have to do is reach out. And Ray doesn't like wine or fish, got it. Not eating it. Actually, that's funny, totally left field here, but we went to dinner with some people recently, and they made fun of me. They said, "What are you doing, Seahorse Whisperer, eating shrimp and all the ocean stuff, the seafood? I love seafood." Anyways, back to the point. If you ever want to chat with us, but you don't want to be in the video when we're live, there's options for that. I put on the member channel that you could reach out in a separate little session with you. We can do that if you're having a problem, or if you just want to chat, or if you want to jump in before or after. Or you can even jump in the video and only be heard but not seen. Marina has done that quite a few times. So I'm just giving some options. I'll make them more clear. I'll try to write something up so they're understandable. But basically, all you have to do is reach out to me or Holly or Cheryl and get the link. And then you can jump in. And if you want to jump live, you can do that. But we do have a before and after kind of party thing where we just chit chat and such and carried away, and then we're really late. So sorry. But if you want to be a part of it, not a problem, especially if you're a member or part of the group. So now that I've said that, tonight we are just basically open chat. Holly's been busy with work. Ray's been busy with life and dogs and everything else. I've been busy with kids and craziness. So we didn't have a theme or a guest for tonight. So it's all about you guys. I did ask before we went live whether or not there had been any follow up on the whole topic that we talked about last week with what was her name, Holly?
Oh,
With
Danielle.
Danielle's seahorses. And I don't.
But remember, she lost the
Right,
seahorse,
right,
though, that same day.
right.
So,
I just didn't know if we'd had any follow up. I know we asked her to post and let us know what happened after her big water change and lowering the temp and that stuff. So Danielle, if you're watching, we still want to help you and work with you and see your beautiful seahorses. So post in the group or chit chat, know how things are going. But we try not to like drop the ball. There wasn't a seahorse to be saved, but we still care about the seahorses she has left, sure that they do well. Um, so anyways, back to your open chat, just sipping on some wine, open community. Oh, last thing of announcements wise before we jump in is that I was talking with my boss recently, and our big work is Wednesday. So he like hates the fact that he told me I could have Wednesdays off. So I'm going to do some sort of poll or something and just see. We've been doing this for years, and Wednesdays have just worked for everybody. But if you think that more people would be able to come, say on a Friday, or if everybody who's a regular doesn't have a preference, then we may just move the day. Don't worry. I will make sure everyone knows if we do. But just it's a thing in the works. So if you'd rather have Wine Wednesday on a Friday or something, then pay attention, mark your thoughts on the poll, and let us know. And yeah, hey Cora Works, hey Gina's Reef. Like I said, guys, it's open to you want to talk whatever. It doesn't even have to be seahorses, but let me know what you'd like to chat about or if there's anything in particular on your mind. Holly, you wait, I have better things on. Right, Ray said younger people have better things on their mind on Fridays. Right, and it doesn't really have to be Friday. And we can keep it Wednesday. To be clear, I made clear to my boss that this was important to me. And even though we're not a huge channel, this is a community. This is my community, and I care about you guys, and not just getting together with you, but making sure all our seahorses are okay and spreading the captive bred message and all that good stuff. So if this is the way that works best for everyone, we'll keep it as is. No worries. Just throwing it out there in case, and you'll see a poll. But it doesn't mean anything will change. I will make sure everyone's on board first. But Holly, you said nothing new with you. All your seahorses are good and tucked in.
No, they're still I've got that one still that was in the hospital, the one that's not going to make it. She's still kicking. She's alive, but she's happier. I sent her home and she's happier in there. She's been interacting with the others. And so even though she's not doing well, she's actually doing better than she did in the hospital.
Gotcha.
so, so I'm just going to let her pass peacefully with her
And
family.
she has and you believe it's bacterial, is that right?
Yeah, she has
So it's
IGBD.
internal.
She's all swollen up. She's not floating anymore. I took care of that with the Diamox, and I had her on antibiotics for 11 days, but she wasn't getting better. And frankly, I really can't afford to do the salt,
Sure.
to just keep her going if I'm going to lose her anyway. So I let her go
Well,
home,
and
and she's been in there
you've
since.
been through this with another seahorse, right? So you kind of know
A
where
few.
it's going.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Ray,
Uh,
I was just curious about your thoughts on it because I've done that before
Sorry, thinking
too.
about which?
Sorry, can you guys not hear me? I'm sorry.
No,
So
it's my hearing, like with the hearing aids and everything, it just doesn't pick up well off of here. Well, even if you're standing beside me, I might have trouble then too.
I
But
mean,
especially if I'm trying to hear a TV or listen to this on here, I don't pick up all the words.
gotcha. Well, I'll try to talk a little bit louder for this. I was just wondering, and if you have ever put a seahorse that you know has something internal going on, not external, likely not contagious, likely just due to their immune system, if you've ever put them back in the tank because they just weren't getting better and you just wanted them to have a happy ending, this family.
No,
And is that
no.
because you're
If I've done
afraid of,
anything, if I thought things were imminent, then I would put them down.
well, I
Same as I
guess,
did with my dog last uh, May. Like
right.
get to a point where it's not it's not a good life for them, and it's not good for me to sit there watching them go through what they go through. So um,
I
you know,
think it's kind of to each their own. If you know it's not something
mhm.
contagious, I mean, if it's a bacterial infection,
Mhm.
a skin eating bacterial infection, you can't put them back with the others. You just can't. But if you've treated the seahorse and it's very obviously something internal and not external, I don't think either answer is wrong, right? If you want to go one way or the other, it's not a big deal. You don't want to risk the other seahorses, but like in Holly's case, she's been through this before. She knows what's going on. She knows it's not a contagious thing, it's internal, and you're just trying to make your baby happy, right?
Yeah, nobody's new. Like I said, nothing's new in my tanks for years. But I have euthanized one for that before, and it was hard for me. And so that's why I don't
it's
now.
hard
I
at
just
any
let them
time.
go on their
Yeah.
own. Yeah.
I probably euthanized 7 or 8 seahorses. Uh, I've had more than that die on their own, but over the years, it's just the way it is, and it's not because uh, it's not a case of money for me. It's like this dog
Mhm.
I've had for 3.5 months. I'm up over $7,000 already on her,
Wow.
and
Mhm.
so if it was money, then I would have stopped long ago with that one.
Right.
Uh,
Mhm.
but I just want to give her the best life she can have for whatever life she has lived or left to live.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
uh, the same thing goes with the seahorses. But if in my estimation, the seahorse is probably not enjoying life, and I can't tell whether they're
Mhm.
in pain or not, but uh,
Mhm.
I use some seahorse keeper discretion and make a decision that I don't think I would want. I know I wouldn't want to live in that condition, so
Right.
I put
Mhm.
my beliefs onto what I do for the seahorse too.
Well, and
Mhm.
I agree with everything you just said. Again, it's the road you need to take because, as Holly was saying, sometimes it's harder on the keeper to do something like euthanasia. Okay, I was sitting here
Mhm.
thinking while you guys were talking, and I was trying to remember how many seahorses I've treated over the years, and I can think of the one main flesh-eating bacterial infection that I made a video about. I've dealt with external GBD, like the tail bubbles, and success
Mhm.
treating, and I had failure treating. So it just depended on the seahorse and and I had the same seahorses in the tank that never had a problem. It gets really frustrating when it doesn't make right. And but I'm always talking
Mhm.
about watching a seahorse hospital tank, and they hate it. They really do. And that's, please don't think I'm saying don't put your
Mhm.
seahorse in a hospital tank if they're sick, because you should. You have to, especially if it's something that could hurt the other seahorses. But it's really hard. And I've had a situation I've talked about before where I had a hybrid erectus reedi that he just kept getting external gas bubble disease, the tail bubbles. He just kept getting them,
Mhm.
and I'd treat him, and they'd go away, and I'd put him back, and they'd come. And obviously, Ray would probably say that means there was something wrong in your tank. There may have been. None of this other seahorses ever had a problem, ever. So I don't know. Like that's a maybe a deeper discussion about whether once a seahorse has an illness that they need to be treated for, does that mean their immune system is weaker? Like I've been dealing with a human bacterial infection, won't go into details, but with one of my daughters, and it's like there's a big debate online now about using antibiotics and how it wipes out all the bacteria, not just the bad. It wipes out the
Mhm.
good too. So does that make them we go back? I don't know. I know I'm rambling and I'm getting into deep discussions. I also wanted to mention it seems lately like we keep talking about this negative stuff and problems, but that's because, we come to Wine Wednesday and we want to share what's going on and sort of talk about the problems so that if anybody else is dealing with that, they can. But if you're a newcomer, this stuff, like I said, I was trying to count up how many seahorses I've treated, probably had, including babies now, but I've had thousands of seahorses in this house, and I've probably treated 5 or 6. Okay, it's not
Mhm.
a normal like, oh my gosh, if I get seahorses, I'm gonna have stuff. That's not true. So don't think that. But I know I'm all over the board, guys, and I see your question, Bonnie. I'll ask it in a minute, but I just think it depends on what you're willing to do as a keeper on knowing and researching the problem and making sure you're keeping the rest of the seahorses safe. But I've done I started to tell you, I've had the hybrid who just kept getting the gas bubble disease. I ended up putting him in a hospital tank a couple times, treating him, putting him back, he'd get it again. Treat him, put him back, get it again. What ended up working, and I joke you not, is I kind of gave up. On Collie, I was not comfortable with euthanasia. I understand the thought process that that seahorse may be in pain or whatever. I get it, but just I don't know. I just couldn't do it right at that point. And so I put this hybrid seahorse in a little tank, but basically it was a tank. a small tank, clean water, did water changes every day, no medication. I thought for sure I would lose that Seahorse, but I was trying to keep him in the best conditions I could until the end. And I'll be darned if not only didn't get better on his own, but then never got sick again. Go figure. Sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason. There's no, and so I don't see anything in the Seahorse that advantageous situation back with his family. I think it just depends on what's best for you and your Seahorses. Um,
Well, on a good note, all the other ones are fattening up now. Remember, I said I took that reef thing out that they like to hide
yes,
under and behind. So they seem to be getting more food. I think they're they're putting on a little weight.
that's good. That's good. I was going to ask too before I go to Bonnie's question. I noticed when I was in, and I did mention this briefly last week, but we've talked about what to do with your Seahorses when you're on vacation, about providing foods possibly, or cameras. We've talked about all the different things you can do when you go on. But I'll tell you, the freaking key is having an horse sitter. I mean, that's the key.
Hmm. I can imagine.
The girl, which was just a coworker, nothing to do with Seahorses, no idea. Her videos, Ashley, if you ever watch, hi Ashley, thank you. But she not only watched my stupid videos showing how I feed them and what needs to be done and collection of any excess food and all that good crazy stuff, but she came and she would FaceTime me every time she did it and be like, okay, so I got everything done right. And I'd be like, yes. And I mean, she did an excellent. I came home to healthy, happy Seahorses. The only thing I didn't,
Nice.
yeah. So having a good Seahorse sitter is like key when you go on vacation. That's the best thing above all of the other options. There are other options, let them again if you need to, but watch a previous video where we talked about it too. But yeah, having her was amazing. The one thing I didn't have her do is any kind of water change, right? Because I knew I was only going to be gone for 3 or 4 days. And that's just even deeper. Trying to explain to someone, oh, you got to get the temperature as close as possible. Here's how you measure salinity and make sure it's at least you want. It was just, I felt like it'd be too much for her. So since it was a shorter vacation, I was cool with just no water change. When I did come home, I did notice it was full. I did have her emptying the cup, cleaning it like you're supposed to. So the skimmer was nasty and full. Um, the sock needed washed desperately. And I did notice that on the floor, I have a bare bottom, and on the floor, I had some algae growing. But you know what I mean? When, like, Holly will probably understand with the bare bottom.
Like a
Like
film.
a
It's like a
kind of like
film.
just like
Yeah.
it looks green right there, and you have to use a
Yeah.
magic eraser to get it up because it's ground in. And I noticed some of that, and I also noticed here, I'm finally getting to my question for you guys. I also noticed that some of my ornaments. Let me back up for 1 second and explain. If you haven't seen my tank, it's bare bottom. It's hopefully to breed Seahorses if I can ever get it in shape the way it needs to be. It is an all-in-one, which hinders me in trying to get it clean enough and good enough for breeding. But anyways, it's got the equipment in the back. Rock that I've had for years and years was not live. I've redone it, bleached it, dried it, recycled it, all that stuff. It has K1, it has a Robert King chamber, and Purage. It has a bunch of stuff, but it's bare bottom with rock that is real, but that I made live. And then it's got a bunch of fake stuff, right? So the rock's the only real thing. I don't have macros and that kind of tank because I'm focused on breeding. But what I'm getting to is I use the rock and the rockers that I made, the Aqua Escape, to have fake plants that like come out out of the rock, right? Like so, I stick the plant I stick the rock on top of the plant so that it's coming out both sides. Does that make sense? I can show you guys a picture in a minute if you need
Yeah.
to. But what I noticed is after my vacation, for some reason, some of them had gotten free. I'm talking about the fake plants, either they got free or they broke off of the original or something. So they're floating at the top of the tank. And I've done this before in other tanks with like macro tanks, with live macros. I would let what's the finger algae called? The codium. I would let codium just float across the top of the tank, right? And the seahorses were just like on it. They wanted to hitch to whatever was floating at the top of the tank and like kind of cruise around on this plant. And they did it with the fake ones too. I noticed that I'm leaving these floating fake plants because they seem to love them. Ray, did you ever do anything that was like floating for this to cruise around on?
No,
Nope. Holly?
I should try that.
Yeah.
I should try that. I haven't, but I've noticed them do that on stuff, like you said, that came loose accidentally or whatever. I haven't put anything in on purpose, but that's a good idea. And I have to see if these ones in here in the tiki tank, maybe that'll make them want to swim up higher
Maybe.
if there's stuff to get to.
Maybe. Because I've noticed too, horses figure this out. And like if floating things does not work in your particular tank, it's not a must at all. But I've noticed that not only do they enjoy it, but they act like they're they are driving it. If it's light enough,
Yeah, because they can swim and hold on to it and
they're like
yeah.
steering this thing like a car, like they're in a car, and they'll pull it across the tank to wherever they want to go. But that hitch, having their tail wrapped around something, just makes them feel
They feel secure.
they feel safer. They like that feeling, whereas they can still get around. They're at the top. They can go where they want. They can see everything. I don't know. I just wondered if anybody else had experienced that, where they love floating things at the top, because my seahorses seem to love it.
I'm gonna try that. I think I'll try that because I have a bunch of fake plastic plants.
Yeah.
And there's some floaty ones. Like some of them float, some of them don't. But I have ones that do float. And the only time I've seen that really is in the hospital tank. When I have one that is floaty, I give them a plastic plant to hold on to, and a lot of times what they'll do is brace themselves under it, to keep from going up. But no, I've seen them do that in the hospital tank, before I get them deflated with Diamox. They like something to hold on to while they're floaty. So yeah, maybe I'll put some in this tank in here. I think I'll try it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you'll have to update us. I'm gonna actually go and see if I can catch them on the floaty and show you guys exactly what I mean. But
that'd be sweet.
While I'm doing that, hey, Fish Fam Link, again, guys, it provides links not only to but to other really cool sites in the community. So make sure to check them out. Put up a link if you would, please. And so Bonnie asked, this may be a stupid question, but do seahorses get dropsy? Ray, do you know what dropsy is?
Nope.
Okay. So let me give you the definition here real quick, and then I'm going to give my answer, and then I'm going to go get a video real quick. It's basically edema. Am I saying that right? Okay.
Edema?
Yeah. Let's see. What is dropsy in fish? I don't know the answer, but I want to get the actual. All right. So the kidneys are not functioning correctly. Excess water builds up. They get bloated, and they float. And so I'm gonna say, and I want to see if I can see. They sometimes get a pine cone appearance. Okay, what causes dropsy in fish? Let's look that up. What causes dropsy in fish? I know you guys could do this on your own, but we're here. So dropsy in fish.
And Sam says not that she knows of.
Sam, glad you're here. Sam's awesome. Sam knows everything. But I was reading on this while we were kind of talking, and it says it's caused by poor water quality, viral infections, sudden changes in water conditions, and a prolonged period of stress, they may compromise a fish's immune system. So is that not like the definition of
It's
basically?
similar. I don't know enough about it to know, but I Sam was in aquaculture, so I think she would know if she says no, I don't know everything. I wish, but
But let's see. And
but I don't know. It seems like we would call it that, like somebody would have said that's what it is.
well,
You
it's
know
called, it's a
now.
bacterial thing, and I mean, basically,
Mm-hmm.
it's a freshwater term. So maybe that's just a used in saltwater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it sounds absolutely very similar to sounds like an internal infection rather than a kidney problem. But you know what, Sam and I jump in, feel free. But I can't stand the fact that we know so little, right? We try to help people
Mm-hmm.
based on our experiences, and it's worked for us, and that's what we're here for. But even scientists figured this stuff out. We don't know what causes internal GVD. That's the same as dropsy. We don't. Dan has pointed out. I'm going to get this wrong. I'm going to say this wrong. I hate when he's not here because I don't want to repeat what he said right. But he explained, I think, once to me that if a seahorse can't swim and they're at the bottom, that typically means kidney failure. Does that sound right, Ray? Or am I saying it
No,
wrong?
I don't
No.
remember him saying that.
Okay.
Isn't it swim bladder?
Right. Kidney.
Something
Why is it kidney?
is
I
it?
just,
Aren't they two different organs?
well, you know what? I'm going to stop speaking for people that aren't here because I'm obviously saying it wrong. But I will follow up and find out because I know he's told us before on this channel and me in person about the difference. Like if you see a seahorse that is floating, it means one thing. If you see a seahorse that can't get off the ground, that typically means another thing. And I'm pretty sure the can't get off the ground has to do with
Yeah,
kidneys and excess
Sam says
water.
swim bladder and kidney are different
Right.
things.
Like when
So,
you have a fry that gets swim bladder, that's totally
mhm.
different than kidneys. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. Not very, but one of them is swim bladder, one
Mhm.
of them is kidney. I don't really know. I'm going to shut up and know, and I don't want to tell you guys wrong. But it's a good thing to know, so I will follow up with Dan and get that exact quote about what each means. But it's so
I do
frustrating. Hang on, it's so
know.
frustrating to me that you see a seahorse floating or you see a seahorse that can't swim. You
Mhm.
find someone like can tell you, oh, it's probably this, but nobody even really knows. There's no research into what's going on. So,
Mhm.
Bonnie, when you ask about something like dropsy, I can't say no or yes because it may very well be bacteria that's causing dropsy in freshwater. Well, obviously not because it's salt versus fresh, but it's all bacterial. So, I'm going to try to get a video so you guys chat.
I'll just say I do know when I first started noticing Dandy's problems, I did some research, and one of the things I was looking at was a swim bladder problem. And that can be a problem in seahorses, but he did not have the exact symptoms of that.
Why
So
don't
I
you tell
ruled
us
that
why don't you tell us what those
that is a
symptoms have
thing.
been? Like, do you remember?
Sinking. Yeah. Sinking, not swimming right. So, yeah, buoyancy issues mainly. But see, his issue is not a buoyancy issue, it's his motor skills. He can swim up or down. It's just that he crashes into stuff. So it's a different issue. And that was years ago. I was reading about that because he's almost 5 years old now, and I think he was only maybe a year old when I started reading about that. So I don't remember all the stuff I read exactly, but I do remember they talked about using, like, I think hyperbaric chambers to fix that issue. Like if you had access to one, and I think somebody, I think it was Dan maybe mentioned doing that with a
Yep.
seahorse, putting them in some kind of canister and sending them deep into the water to
Right.
fix a buoyancy issue. And I think that is a swim bladder thing
I
that they get.
just wish we, like, so that we give an oh yes, it's related to the bacteria that we relate to dropsy, or oh yes, this
Mhm.
is the answer. If you, I know that's not practical. We can't do that with humans. We can't do it with seahorses. But yeah, and Sam said because no tests
Mhm.
are done, it's all. Oh, why can't I put your comment up? Because no tests are done, it's work right. I don't know why more research isn't being done. But frustrating.
Who's going to pay for it?
Well, I don't know. They get grants for everything else under the sun, like this. You know.
Somebody would have to do it, like a student, in the university or something, they'd have to do that for their project. And Sam says no money in it.
Right.
So that's probably a big reason.
Well, and I would say I think there are people out there. We all know Project Seahorse. It is into that kind of stuff. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to get these pictures ready to show you. But I will tell you, when I was really deep in the seahorse world, I don't know how else to put it, like, to get anything done. But a couple of years ago, well, right, I was going to MACNA every time. I was going to these conferences. I was going to Marine Initiative conferences. I was part of their program, and I talked to a lot. I talked, one on one with Dave Harassi, who does all the stuff in Australia. Uh, Obviously, Chris Carey is fine, and he was doing a lot of stuff in Australia too. Steve McLeod, we knew him very well. But I also reached out to people that were doing the scientific side. I'm not going to even try names right now because, like, I talked to a gentleman or a doctor, I should say, in Portugal who couldn't even speak English. Translator, it was a mess. But I mean, I've talked to people all around the world, and they're wanting to do this research, and they can't get the grants to do it. And it sucks because there are people out there that want to do the work. It's just like you guys said, money, 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 money. And you're right, Sam. Lots of research is funded in aquaculture and in Australia, is what I was going to say. They do a lot of work. I know when I talked with
Mhm.
Seahorse Australia and Seahorse World, Rochelle, she was working with red handfish, and she's doing all sorts of cool seahorse programs, everything. But I mean more the side where they're not looking at rehoming projects, just going out and trying to figure out, seahorses and what's wrong, what makes them tick. And, I know that I always forget his name. Institute of Aquaculture, and it was Dr. Dang, I'm gonna forget his name. I hate when I do this. We've had even like, but you guys know there have been people at the California Institute of Technology that have worked with the pygmy seahorses, that have worked with seahorses in general, trying to figure. It takes more than found. They need to go deeper and figure it out. I mean, Graham Short does all work in the wild, and with ichthyology, figuring out things afterwards when you're just talking about samples. But I don't know. We have lots of ocean. I know, and I know we'll never figure it out.
Yeah.
This is like me saying, why can't we figure out the human brain? I know it's like unreachable, but it's still frustrating. I just wish for our community that we had better answers about the basics. If this is wrong, this is probably what happened. What's wrong? I don't know. And what are we talking about? Hey, wait a minute. Ray, you're saying stuff and I don't know what's going on. Ray said,
Oh, talking about Bonnie's comment.
Okay, what was Bonnie's comment?
She said originally, she said she knows the seahorses can get air bubbles in their pouch, which makes them have trouble with buoyancy.
Right. And Ray, you said what?
That's what she said.
Basically, we distinguish the poach emphysema from the GBD, even though um, the poach emphysema is caused by bacteria that is producing the gas in the poach, and bacteria may also cause the internal GBD, but uh, the GBD can also be caused by things like organ failure, and it can be bacterial as well. But it's something we don't know when it's GBD. We don't know for sure what it is unless somebody can pay for the testing afterwards, after the seahorses died. But I haven't come across anybody that has been willing to do that.
And Ray, why do we distinguish pouch emphysema as separate than internal or external GBD? Do you know?
Well, first of all, the treatment is different.
Sure.
And while we don't know the cause of the GBD usually, we do know the cause of the PE. And we know that we can usually correct the PE by doing a proper evacuation of the pouch, coupled with flushing properly afterwards. The problem is that people think that they've got all the gas out, and it normally, or it quite often is not all out, even though they think it is. So that the remaining gas that's in there is still sustaining the bacteria culture, which just keeps on perpetuating itself. And unless you can get it all out and get it flushed properly, then it's just going to keep on coming back.
And is it a different, do we know? I don't know the answer to this. I'm literally just asking. Is it a different bacteria that causes, say, pouch emphysema versus internal or external GBD?
Well, being that I don't know what bacteria is causing either one of them, I can't say.
Right. Right. And that's what frustrates me, right? If we could pinpoint the bacteria, we could possibly try to fight it, or we could at least have a better knowledge. It frustrates the heck out of me.
Well, we
But
can fight it,
yeah, I was going to
but
say,
we got
at
to fight it
least,
in advance. Like we have to do it proactive rather than reactive.
and how would you say we do that, Ray?
Well, just a standard that with the water quality has to be kept up, and don't depend on your tests, because you can do all the tests that you have and show that everything's okay when in fact it may not be, because you cannot test for dissolved organics. And the biggest problem seems to happen when dissolved organics are increasing in our tanks, whether it's the dissolved organics specifically or something that goes along with that increase in dissolved organics. I can't say for sure, but I can tell you that in 20 odd years of seahorse keeping, it's a deadly thing when those dissolved organics start rising. And depending on what equipment you have, what your protocols are for cleaning and water changes, is something that may happen within a few months of when you get started. It may happen over a year or a year and a half, just at a slower pace, just depending on all the excuse me, all the conditions that are working in your tank for and against.
So,
If you have extreme protocols to keep things clean, you're probably either going to be safe or it's going to be a long time coming. If you're not really extreme in taking care of that water, then it's going to happen much sooner.
well, and I really want to get someone in here. I want to get an expert in here. So, guys, we're looking at possibly a special guest if I can get someone. I'd love to get someone in here that works with the new products on the market, like probiotics. I mean, Dan swears by, right? But only the right ones. There's so many things on the market that are, just snake oil or whatever. It's hard to tell. But like and this is another case, like we and it develops over time. So a lot of people would use Mike F in their tanks, me included, and be like, okay, it's great, but I don't see a point to continue buying it because I don't see any benefit to it. But what we don't know is what it's doing to the stuff we can't see, right?
Well,
I'm interested. Go ahead.
You got to realize too that the seahorses may have the same problems as humans do. There's all kinds of probiotics sold for use in humans.
Sure.
The unfortunate part is that people do not have the same gut bacteria and need the same probiotics. There may be people out there that are similar, but you can have people in the same family, in the same household, that the probiotics that they would need are completely different from one to another, because the gut microbial bacteria are different in each person's body. And part of it is depending on what they eat, but it also has some bearing on, I can't get the word out. It's each individual has certain characteristics that make different bacteria grow, the good bacteria, that is.
Sure. No, I get all of that.
Seahorses are the same, then it means what McF will do for one may not do for another.
Right, but I just feel like this is another case of, do you take vitamins every day? Do you know exactly what vitamins you need? No. But do you take them?
Yes, I do.
Right. So I'm just saying,
I get testing to find out if I need, and if so, how much.
Well, I wish we could do that with seahorses. If anybody has an idea how to do that, let's do it. But in the meantime, I just feel like probiotics is a new way of kind of like vitamin dosing the tank. I know that's not the same. Please don't correct me. I know that's not the same. But I'm just saying, I don't think it can hurt anybody. And so why not? You know what I mean? Like if it's routine and it helps and you just never have problems, good. You know, would you have never had problems in the beginning? Maybe. But I feel like with a seahorse tank, in my case, I'll speak just for myself. Every time I think I've got everything covered, I've got a big enough skimmer, or a okay enough skimmer in the all-in-one because I can't get one rated high enough that I need, and water changes, and I think everything's great, and then all of a sudden there's nuisance algae or something, and I realize my game's not good enough. You know what I mean? I need to up it. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just think that with the seahorse tank, if you think you're doing good enough, you should still try to do better, right? You should still try to do more water changes or whatnot. And I think something like these bacterial additives, they're nothing but helpful. And I'm talking probiotics like the bottle bacteria we have now, Dr. Tim's, whatever. I would just like to do a little bit more research or have an expert on about what each do, why they're used, why they're needed. I mean, I personally use probiotics in my tank, and I think it helps. I don't know what is spiraling infusion of mycis. Sorry, I'm miss. Hey, before we go to spiraling infusion of mycis, Sam said, where did it go?
A redox test?
Hang on, gram test. Before we go to that, Sam, you said we do gram tests. That helps with treatments. You mean like figure positive or negative and treat accordingly, like an antibiotic that attacks gram positive or negative? Is that what you mean? I'm curious. And a redox test. Sam, you need to jump in here, if not today, soon, because I would love to learn more about the redox stuff. I know they came out with equipment that dealt with redox. I know there's tests, and it could indicate dissolved organics, but I don't think it does exactly, unless I'm mistaken. But I have never used or played with the stuff that deals with redox. What was it, ozone or something that they had for a minute? Do you guys remember ozone? I think
I don't know anything about redox. I don't know what that
See,
is.
I need to get Dan back in here for a week. He did the redox stuff. I know what you're talking about. I don't know the details. If you do, jump on in and tell us. But
Randy Holmes Farley never brought it up when I was on that forum to get help for the testing of DO. Basically, there is no test a hobbyist could do. You can only send it away to have a lab. Certain labs can test for DO, but other than that, hobbyists can't. That's why I was looking to do that testing that I did get involved with.
right.
Unfortunately, my water never got bad enough to be able to give me any results.
Well, and I
So,
I still need to get into that testing, Ray. I've been falling down on the job, and I wish others would too. I think we still have a link for that, don't we, Ray? That explains how
pardon
to
me?
use it. Don't we
Yeah,
still have
there's
a
a page
link?
on my website.
Okay, I'll find that link, or you can find it for me. Either way. But yeah, see, there was some research and some stuff done with redox. I know it entered the hobby. Unfortunately, I'm a I don't know. I never used any of the ozone treatments or any of that. I know Dan did. I'll try to pull him in next week to kind of dive into that. But if it could, yeah. And Ray, how long ago did you talk to Randy Holmes Farley?
Uh, well, with my cognitive impairment, I can't tell you that, but it was
It's
this
been a
year.
minute though, right?
Pardon me?
It's been a while though, right?
Since I talked to him?
Yeah.
Well, it's not just in the last couple of months. I know that.
I want to
Right.
say it was like late winter, early spring, maybe. I
So
remember
that's
you talking about
all I'm
that.
saying. Things advance. Maybe new stuff is out. We just don't. Maybe he didn't know at that time. Who knows? I don't know. Unfortunately, I can't really talk on the topic because I've never used it or played with it. But Samfo were interested in
Well,
hearing.
if there was anything new, Randy would know. He's a scientist.
I know.
Hmm.
I know. And I have much respect for him. But I do know, science kind of go into different areas. I don't know. Whatever. What did I do? I did something. Hang on. I lost my chat. What did I do? Uh-oh. I had other. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get the chat back. I have lost it. Okay, well, that sucks. Hang on. All right. I'm just going to look on YouTube. That's the easiest way, I guess. But yeah, I don't know why that happened. For some reason, my chat was asking me to all of a sudden log in it even once.
Huh.
Maybe this. Let's see. Bring my chat. Okay, let me see. You guys can. Oh, jeez, what is this? Extra camera? No.
I can see the chat.
Can you see the hello? And there were a couple other
Yeah,
comments I wanted to put up. Holly, can you read them? Maybe like what?
I can read them. Which one were you thinking? Because there's a
I know,
bunch.
and I've lost them all. Let me try to look on YouTube. Sam was saying some stuff, and
There.
Bonnie asked some questions.
Well, she did. She did say that she never did use probiotics except for fry.
Okay.
And then Andrew says, I'm big on dosing bacteria. For me, it's not about just adding bacteria when you start a tank. You have to maintain that bacteria balance. Otherwise, things go crazy.
See, and I actually really agree with that. Bacteria. Why can't I can't even copy and paste? Lord, I'm over here, guys. Hang on.
But that's like telling a human to maintain the bacterial balance in their gut, and everybody's microbial system is different. So how do you know with your particular tank what is the right one?
What it
What's the right
needs.
amount? Uh,
Mhm.
I don't have the answers, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I might be out on chat, guys. Can you even see what I'm putting up? I just put Ray's link. I think something's going wrong on mine. Sorry.
Here it comes. Yep, it just showed up.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, what was the name of the person that said that about the?
Oh,
So
Andrew.
Andrew, I'm totally with you, and I think we're kind of diving into different topics here because I think you're talking bacteria dosing the tank to keep up the bio. Can't even think of the word, but the system within the system in the water, right? And the bacterial counts in there. Whereas probiotics, in my thoughts, work a little bit different. Typically with probiotics, I do dose them in the water, but I also use feeds, like live feeds and in different ways to try to get it inside the gut of the animal. So, there's two different things. How do you try to help?
Pam says the word you were looking for is biofilter.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait, I think my chat's back now. Bio load, biofilter. I think I'm getting it back.
There you go.
I don't know what's going on with this, guys. Sorry, but yeah, and I'm sorry if I missed your comment. Say it again if Holly doesn't read it, see it anymore. But I just think these are topics we need to dive into deeper, and I think we need to get an expert in here because again, we can say what we do and what's worked for us, but we need to get someone to explain why certain probiotics are good for the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Said it would, or not good for the tank, good for the seahorse. And as Ray said, it can depend on the seahorse. Like they might not need it, or it might be the wrong strains, whatever. It's so complicated. It's so frustrating. I would like to someday or some point dive into bacteria dosing of the tank because I do that also. I love like the Dr. Tim's products or the Fritz products. You don't see anything happening, but you just kind of know that you're keeping up on the good guys who outcompete the bad guys. And that's the name of the game, right? It's like these massive water changes. We can try to set up the tank so clean. We can put all this amazing equipment. But when you get down to bacteria, we can't see them. We don't know the strains. So in my mind, using things like probiotics and bacteria dosing is more about overloading the tank with good stuff that can outcompete the bad stuff. It's just like, in my mind, using an algae scrubber in the sump because you're outcompeting the bad stuff by collecting it one place and removing it. And when you use these products, if they're real, if they're good, we need to investigate which are good and which are real. But yeah, I'm kind of over here. Biodiversity, genus Reef, absolutely.
I've had aquariums since
We're
back in
having
the
for
50s,
bio. What, Ray?
and I've had aquariums since back in the 50s, and the only thing I've tried that way, probiotics, is the MICF. And in my case, all the different tanks that I tried in, I never once saw a tank where I could see any improvement. And I never had anything act any different, either negatively or positively. So I quit dosing it, and everything stayed the same after that too. Like I say, who is able to tell you for sure what your tank needs or doesn't need?
I know, but the problem with things like
There is no
probiotics,
expert.
hang
There is
that's
no
the
expert
problem
that
with
can tell you.
probiotics and bacteria dosing is that and Dan has said this repeatedly, you're not going to see anything. But did one of your seahorses not get sick because you had good bacteria instead of bad in the tank? I don't know, but it's I don't know. It's a complicated thing. I get your point, Ray, and everybody needs it, but also everybody doesn't do as massive water changes as you do. Many people think they can get by with less. Many people don't have outside of the tank skimmers that are going to blow off your roof like you did. I mean, I'm just saying.
I never used to do those major water changes either. like I'm talking of many decades of the aquatic hobby, eh? And I only started Seahorses in 2002.
Okay.
So there's a big difference there. But um, as a matter of fact, back in the 50s, nobody was thinking probiotics or anything like that anyway.
Sure. No, I
But
get it. And that's why I want to talk about this more and get some experts in here because I don't have the answers. I do know that upon Dan's instruction or thoughts, I started using Mike F and I have had many fewer problems in my tanks, especially fry tanks for sure. Um, but is that because I was using the Mic F? I can't promise that. I don't know. Maybe I'm better at doing Seahorse tanks. Who knows? And I still have problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm getting ready to show those pictures I took, and you're going to see some algae because I was on vacation and wasn't able to keep up with the tank. But Gina's Reef said if one type of bacteria outcompetes the others, problems can pop up, like certain types of diatoms. That's why having a big good biodiversity is ideal. Excuse me, sorry guys. But yeah, and that gets complicated. I remember when we had um help me, I can't remember the name of the company. I'm so bad with names. But we had a on recently. Oh my gosh, I can't but I'll think of it and I'll put it in the comments. I apologize when I can't remember your names, guys. But we had them on, and their whole company is about adding biodiversity, adding phyto, adding different strains of this, that, and the other, adding, copepods or whatnot to a tank, not to feed seahorses, but to create that biodiversity that is more apt to be healthy, if that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, see, I hate when we get in these combos when we don't have a guest that has the intel. I really don't have the answers to this stuff. I can only tell you what's worked for me, right? And I
some of
don't.
the old some of the old timers, if they're on here, will probably remember the Sano Wars
The
when
what?
the Sano Wars. It, I think that was the manufacturer of the McF, but
Okay.
decades ago, there was quite a battle on the forums about using the probiotics back then. And there were some people that swore by it, and probably more people swore at it.
Okay.
And basically, it was the same as right now. Uh, Nobody knows for sure if, when they're adding it, that it is actually doing something. And nobody can tell me if I add it to this tank, will it also work for this tank over here? Or will it work for your tank? Um, like there's no scientific evidence out there that I've been able to find where studies can conclusively show that if you use MICAF in every tank, it's going to make this difference or that difference. And
And I get
it's like
that. And
when they do trials for humans, when they're doing medical trials, there's all kinds of people that are helped by a medicine, and it's called a placebo.
right. I know.
If you believe in it enough, it can make changes in your body, and you will feel that things are well.
I
One
don't
of
think that would be the same for a seahorse tank, though. I understand what you're saying, and I might think that a cough drop or my cough, and therefore I take a cough drop and my cough stops. And it's all in my ear point. It happens. It's true. But in a tank, what you're saying is correct. You don't see the results. You're adding Mike F or bacteria for whatever reason, or probiotic of a different form and for whatever reason, and you never have problems. I'm kind of the opinion, what do you lose? Right? I mean,
So
like,
you're telling me that people that use MICF never have problems then?
no, I've had problems and I use Mike F. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just
Okay, how do
saying
you know that if you don't have problems, how do you know it's the MICF that caused it?
I don't. I can tell you that since I started using Mike F, I've never seen tail bubble again. And I used to struggle with it in a seahorse a year, let's say. I don't know. But it would be really the same seahorse also, by the way. But it would just continue. I would continue having the problem. None of the other seahorses would have the problem. And all of a sudden, a seahorse would pop up with tail bubbles. And I would treat it or whatever. I went through the struggle constantly. I also had two different males along the years that just struggled constantly with pouch emphysema. I don't have an answer as to why. I know that they'd get it, I'd fix them. They'd get it again, I'd fix them. Or die, but miserable. And I know that since I've started, I've never seen either one of those things in my tanks. Is that why? I don't know. Prove that. I don't know. But that's why I want to get some experts in here. So, and let's see. Gina said, is it Mudlark Biofile? I think you're right. I think that's who it was. And I will put that in the comments. And Gina's Reef said there probably isn't conclusive results because there are lots of different methods to saltwater keeping. Different environments are going to have different results. Right. And that's the thing is there's never going to be a, this is how you do it and you're going to never have a problem. There's no, this is how you do it and you fix. It's just not possible, right? That's why with seahorses, you need to keep it cleaner. You need to have a big skimmer. You need to have enough room and enough water volume. You need to, be ready if there's a problem. And I personally have added probiotics to my tank. And Bonnie, you asked which probiotics do I use? I use Mike F. And I'll be honest, I'm a little lazy, so it's not a continuous, oh, I dose every day or every week. It's, I think, oh, yeah, they need a, boost. I just add it when I add it, right? There's no routine or schedule. I just add it. I also bacteria dose, like Andrew was talking about, just for the tank's biofilter. And I do use Mike F with foods, though. Like I like to get my seahorses a live feed treat, as often as I can, maybe once a month. And if I get them adult live Artemia or adult kids, I will use the Mike F through the Artemia to feed the mysids to feed the seahorses. And there is a time schedule, because it wears off. They don't keep it in them as long enough, but I use that to kind of gut load the seahorses. And I think it's helped. And I use it in every fry tank too. Yeah. And let's see. Gina's Reef said, like if someone does elements or does water changes, quarantine or no quarantine, every tank is its own ecosystem with its own biodiversity and pathogens. True. And that's why, again, there's never a guaranteed if you do it this way, you'll never have a problem. There just isn't. We don't know enough. But I can tell you that with Ray's 500 years of experience, just kidding, Ray, and Cheryl's years and years of experience, and Holly and I's, personal experiences over many years, we can share what's worked, what hasn't, and that's all we're here to do is be a community and try to help each other, right? But if we can get experts in, and we don't have to agree with them always, we can get someone in here that talks about his or her products and their probiotics or their bacteria dosing, and they go into extensive detail. But if they can't answer Ray's question, where's my, scientific expert opinion that this is actually working? Does that mean it doesn't work? No, but you can take your risk tolerance level and decide what you want to do for your tank, right? So, Ray, what were you saying? I know you're typing something. What's going on?
Oh, I was just putting my reply into Bonnie.
I know. I want to hear it out loud.
Where are we going here?
Oh, he's thinking it over. Okay, sorry.
Oh, it
But
doesn't seem to be going. I keep pushing it.
I think something's wrong with chat. I really do.
Yeah, it's not.
I think it's because I had to log back in for some reason. I don't know. But just tell us, Ray, what was your response?
Just telling Bonnie she'll just have to try something and see if it works for her or her tank. I
Mhm.
dosed the McF for about 2 years out of 21 years. I never saw a difference myself, but maybe if I had a different probiotic, maybe I would have. I just don't know.
Well, and I think more the reason I'm trying to push anything on anybody, guys. I'm just telling you what's worked for me. I think that it depends on how you Gray just said. If you've got a massive 300-gallon Seahorse tank, you've got the water volume for the room of error, right? Like errors won't occur as often because you have more water. So if some bacteria starts to expand, you have more chance to fix it. The reason that I like, say, probiotics and bacteria dosing is because I'm currently working with a 65-gallon and a 40-gallon. And the 40-gallon doesn't have a. So I'm using alternative methods to try to help me in my maintenance routine because I don't have that water volume and that room for error, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, I think I got it. Holly, what are your thoughts on all this?
Oh, I don't do any dosing, so I really don't have any thoughts on it, actually. And I was getting tired too, so I'm going to have to bow out for
Oh,
tonight because
okay.
today.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine, but yeah, I've just been working hard, and
Yeah,
I worked on the tanks today and catching up with all the house stuff that I don't have time to do when I'm working.
sure.
And I go back tomorrow and I'm driving all day. For those who don't know, I'm an insurance broker and right now is open enrollment. So
She's an amazing
I've
insurance broker, but yeah, you get out there
so
and help those
yeah,
people
so
for sure.
I'm really tired. I need to catch up on my rest so I can start it all again tomorrow.
Holly, I appreciate you even
But
coming because I know you're so busy. I appreciate you. And maybe we'll get, maybe
yes,
we'll have a
nice to see
topic
you guys.
next week to maybe hone in on some more fun seahorse stuff instead of getting into all this bacteria stuff. But I appreciate you coming. You have a good rest.
Yeah.
See you next
Thank
week.
you very much. And I'll see you next week, you guys.
All right.
Good
Night.
night.
Good night.
I've never had a wine Wednesday where accompany me into the after party. I think I'm going to lose my mind. I'm just kidding. But I hope tomorrow. Ray, was there any other? I mean, we need to start ending this earlier, anyways. I can ramble endlessly, but you know, it gets boring at a certain point. So, was there anything else you wanted this or?
No, it's just like the probiotics is something that I can't say anything negative against it, but I don't
Mhm.
have anything positive to say against it. When the Santa Wars were on, I stayed out of it because I just plain didn't know.
Right.
And most of the people that said one thing or the other, they didn't know either, but they were spouting off. And I'd rather not get into that kind of situation.
Well, I know you don't like coming when I have a guest because it's more. I don't know. You just don't usually come when I have a guest. But if I'm in here to talk about probiotics, I need you to come so you can ask the question to ask. I mean, we need to be like, well, what about this? And really get down to the nitty gritty.
My
But we'll
biggest
see.
problem, excuse me, my problem though is that there's so many so-called experts on many topics out there, but um,
Sure.
I have a mind that unless you can point me to a study that I can accept, and I don't mean studies that like all these things right now that keep on telling you, well, your memory's going to be improved if you take this. There are clinical studies that have shown it. That's a bunch of crap. And the only ones that those studies are helping are the ones that placebo will help. But I need something definitive, like for my health and for my dog's health, for instance. I can go to the NIH and I can do searches on the NIH and come up with all kinds of studies that are legitimate, double blind stuff, that nobody can really dispute the methodology of the studies for the most part. And I need to be able to look at studies like that and be convinced. Like, someone just telling me, well, clinical trials have shown this and that. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. So if I was to get on with one of your experts, we'd probably end up in a shouting match.
Well, I wouldn't let that happen, and I get your respect and how respectful you are. But sometimes that's what we need. It's easy for someone to tell me something and me to buy it, but on this channel, we're trying to promote the best information. So I need someone to ask those questions. It is hard, though. Like, for instance, Aquachar. I know, Ray, you're still hands off on Aquachar because one way or another, you just don't know enough about it. They had studies.
Nobody's been able to prove to me that it's better than using just carbon.
Doesn't matter if it's better or, like, that's what I mean.
Well, it costs more than carbon. And so if it's going to cost more, I would want it to be better.
Okay. Well, I mean, and I could spout the benefit in the Robert King chamber. I won't bore you with it. Go back and watch those. And it is working for my tank, just for the record. But I get your point, and I wish there were more studies. And hey, KGE or KJ Aquatics, sorry. So glad to have you. We're looking for some experts that can talk to us about probiotics and bacteria dosing. If you know anyone, hit me up. But yeah, I get your point, Ray, and having the scientific studies to back it up is great. But even those these days are just, if they're out to prove something, they can find a way to prove it, just like I can. If I want to prove that something is good, I can experiment and prove it's good. It doesn't really mean that.
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard though to do a proper study and make it show what you want to show. It can be done, but then if you get the people that are knowledgeable on that topic, and if they peer review it, they're going to show you all the things that are wrong with that study. And if something is peer reviewed and you get people telling you that the study is flawed in this way or that way, then I would say you have to reject those results until they're either confirmed or not by a study that doesn't have the flaws in it.
Well, I would say I'm going to go look up, because I know Dan participated in scientific studies. There's a whole paper where him and his wife are listed as, resources for that information. I'm going to go look up what the peer review of that was, because I just, it's a crap shoot, figure it all out is insane. I would say if what you're doing is working for you, if you want to do some additional things to prevent things, these are preventative measures. I don't think they hurt anything, right? Like dosing good bacteria and dosing probiotics. I haven't heard of any, oh, it crashed my tank, or, oh, there's a big problem because of it. So I do think that the key in saltwater keeping horses or reef tanks or, whatever, macros, I do think, I remember in the macro tank, it was all about doing enough good to outcompete the bad, right? In whatever way you choose to do that. So these new methods, better or worse or ugly, I don't know. But to dive in further, and as Anna said, you can't move forward and progress without challenging what currently is. So that's why we need you, Ray. I won't let you shout, but I'll make sure questions. And I really do appreciate when you come in and we're talking about something and praising it, and you say, well, wait a minute, this. I think that's a good thing. That's what we need is, adult, healthy conversation about what's actually working and what's not. As for my seahorses, on a side note, oh, I want to show you guys. And these pictures are not great, I will tell you now. And then Ray, I'll let you go. Just give me 1 second to show these little pictures here. Let's see if this works now. I have to probably turn off my light. Hang on. Turn off the light so I can see what I'm doing. All right. Okay. So, oh, nope, I screwed it up. Hang on. Let me stop sharing and start again. 1 sec, guys. And I do have Ray to share with you, but let me get this up. I just, guys, the floating items that my seahorses are loving since I went on vacation. Really quick, if I can get it up. Here we go. All right.
By the way, that
So,
wasn't my
sharing.
website. That was for the trials that I was doing on the testing,
Right.
the DO.
It's not allowed. Huh. It's telling me I can't
It was
screen
called
share.
pre-chlorine testing.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, for some reason it's telling me I can't share tonight. Too bad for us. I don't know why. I'm trying to find out why. Oh, hang on. Let me see if that fixes it. Nope. See that that's going to fix it. Okay. Well, I guess I can't share. How about I do a post and just post it, because for some reason I am unable to share. I think it's because I almost accidentally opened another thing that had something else. All right, I'm not going to keep rambling and trying to do this. What I was trying to say is, I don't know why it won't let me, but I will do a post on the Seahorse Whisperer Facebook group. You can see it, and I'll try to share it next week. Just showing you guys how much my seahorses are loving floating plants, fake or real. And let's see if there's anything else, guys. Oh, yes. Fish Fam Link is telling us about, and I saw Zen Ginger and someone else discussing, Gina's Reef, discussing the BRS shopping and giveaway tonight. There's a link for you in the description. Thank you for putting it up. That's awesome. Since it's salty. And Gina is going to be live on Bulk Reef Supply. Since it's salty, Gina will be live shopping for a giveaway. Oh, okay. Gotcha. On the Fish Family. See, I'm involved with those things, guys. Reach out to me so that I can help. And because I'm just struggling with life right now. I want to promote these things that you guys are doing because you guys are awesome and you come every week and you support us and talk with us, and we love you. And whatever you're doing behind the scenes, so definitely post all your links, no problem. Link has a link also for you guys for tonight, so definitely get on over there and check it out, and reach out to me for more things we can do here. We need to do a giveaway. We haven't done a giveaway in a while, so we need to do a giveaway, and we need to promote others more, so definitely reach out to me. But Ray, I think that's it for tonight. You think we're good for tonight?
If you say so, you're the boss.
I'm not the boss. Don't make me the boss. Was there anything else you wanted to dive into? I know we've kind of been all over the board. Sorry.
What's this? Not all of them birds are still around.
Where does it say that?
Gina's Reef says not all of them birds are still around. I said I thought dinos were extinct. She said birds are still around. I didn't know birds were dinosaurs.
We'll see. Oh yeah, I see now. And I think there are certain birds that were alive back then. Pretty sure, actually. Gina's Reef, you'll have to educate us.
We have birds around right now that were alive in the dinosaur age.
No, evolution. I don't know. Don't ask me. Gina's Reef. What do you mean by that? I don't know. My goodness, I have no idea. But You were, oh, because she said you're still the resident dinosaur. But we appreciate you and all of your information, Ray. We need you to get tough new experts that throw stuff out that you cut them, make them tell us the truth. We appreciate it. But
Well, the trouble is,
dinos,
they may be right and I may be wrong.
and then when that's proven, you're the first one to say, thank you for proving it. And that's how it should be. We can't all be, just buying everything that comes along. If we did, I'd be in millions of dollars of debt. Oh my God, when I go to these shows, the reef shows and such, there's new products, so many new dosing regimens. It's insane. Everybody's trying to sell the latest thing that's the best. So I like that we don't just accept things and we question thing. But
Janice says you'll find a TikTok that explains it. Well, unfortunately for me, anything that's on, I don't even know TikTok, but anything that's on TikTok or any social media platform, I've got no use for unless you can back it up with something a lot more scientific than that.
you got to prove that the TikTok is real. No, but Gina's Reef, send it to me and I'll play it next week. How's that? We'll discuss. But for tonight, guys, I am going to shut it down before we're going deep into TikTok. We don't want that. So everybody have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. And any ideas for future giveaways or ideas, please let me know. Definitely whatever's going on with your channels and at BRS, because but for tonight, I'm running low on Chardonnay, so we're gonna say goodnight. Too. But happy Wine Wednesday. Ray, cheers your water. Come on, man. Don't you have a water?
I didn't bring the water here tonight.
He doesn't even have one. All right, well, I will cheers. Happy Wine Wednesday. We'll see you next week. Ray, we all